These Baylor fans, man, at some point we just got to say enough is enough.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're dapping it up with the Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us on this Friday edition of the show. Kind of some differing opinions on Jackson Arnold. That's coming up. And are we concerned about the injury and health situation of the receiving core for the Tigers? Hugh Freeze chimed in on that. And I mean, we kind of got a glimpse of it with practice yesterday being open to the media. But Darrell, enough is enough. I mean, I'm seeing so much verbiage and confidence from the Baylor side of this. And I just don't fully understand where it's all coming from.
I've sat by quietly trying to not get it fired up about it and just kind of thought it would go away. And I'm going to tell you, until something comes to your front doorstep, you're not really forced to deal with it. I've just bided my time on this. This isn't just about your crossover, although there's a part of that. This started back at SEC Media Days where people started blowing up my timeline saying Baylor was going to drop 49 on Auburn. And in all full disclosure, there's been some guys that I've interacted with, even some Baylor media people, that have invited me to tailgates when I'm out there and to be on their shows. And you know, after they hear what I'm about to say, I may have to go out there with a bulletproof vest. But the bottom line is this. I am going to come at you with facts, not feelings, not opinions, not wishing upon a star. I'm going to just throw some facts your way, and then you can respond as I go point through point, because I've sat by idly, and you're right, enough is enough. This is a joke. I don't understand where the overconfidence is coming from. And I'm not talking about just delusional fan bases. I'm talking about some of their media folks, people that you deal with, people that I deal with. So, I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, they were 8-5 last year. And arguably the worst Power 4 conference in America, they finished 5th. What we hear immediately from that, Zach, is, well, that was last year. We've gotten some transfers. We've gotten some dudes in. So ironically, it's convenient that they want to go to this year, but talk about Auburn last year and Jackson Arnold last year, and not talk about how Auburn's roster has improved.
That's right.
I would say this. I would say that the fact that Vegas has Auburn as a 2.5-point favorite, who probably knows a little bit more than Baylor fanboys, would make me wonder why I'm so confident if I'm pulling for Baylor when Vegas says, no, I'm favoring Auburn. There are tickets available, a 40,000 seat stadium. And make no mistake about it, they don't want to hear this. Baylor playing Auburn is bigger for Baylor than it is for Auburn.
Correct.
Auburn plays Alabama, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and Georgia every year. Playing Baylor's not a big, it's a big game because of the ramifications of it, and that it's because it's the first game. But the opponent does not make this a big game. The opponent for Baylor makes it a big game, and yet they still can't sell out their 40,000 seat stadium. You know this, going on business, out of town on business, staying to cover the game for Locked On Auburn. I have a coworker with me. I got online Friday and found a ticket on the 30-yard line on game time, and it took me approximately 28 seconds. Okay? So that's my first point. The overconfidence of what you accomplished last year, but they don't want to give Auburn credit for what they've improved on, what Vegas has. That's the first thing, and those are all facts, not selling it out, that has me a little bit perplexed as to where they're getting all this confidence from.
Yeah, I want to respond specifically to, well, okay, last year's behind us, but everything that Baylor's bringing back is great, and they've got these transfers. I'm 100% there with you, because okay, well, Auburn's bringing their core back. And we all know that the biggest jump of development as a college athlete is freshman to sophomore. It's not close. There are outliers, there are exceptions, but as a general rule, your biggest jump in development is between your freshman year and your sophomore year. And you just look at the core of what Auburn has on both sides of the football. And it's not close. It's not close. I brought this up with Cam Stewart of Locked On Baylor yesterday, which if you missed that crossover and you're an Auburn fan, I think you'll enjoy it. Go check it out. But I brought up recruiting rankings, and he's like, what? You're talking about recruiting rankings from 2 years ago? I'm like, this is the core of your team. And
That's
Auburn
playing now.
Class. And Baylor, like, I had to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and then they got to 61. He's like, well, we've got transfers. I'm like, okay, great. You didn't get the number one offensive tackle in the transfer portal. You didn't get one of the most highest ranked quarterbacks in the transfer portal.
The number one receiver in the portal.
Number one receiver in the portal. You didn't get a corner that I think most people in college football would have wanted right now with Rayon Strader, who is a dog. I mean, we could go on and on. The number 2 offensive tackle in the portal. One of the maybe most potentially electric running backs in the portal with Darrell Robinson. He might be the favorite to be Auburn's starting back now. Whatever metric you want to point to, or topic or argument of, no, here's where Baylor has it. The only one I've heard is quarterback. Sawyer Robertson over Jackson Arnold. And I say, okay, they're not on the field at the same time.
I'm just getting warmed up because I'm going to address that too.
Go
Sawyer
ahead.
Robertson has not seen a defense. Fact, not opinion, not feeling, not wishing upon a star. He has not seen a defense that he's about to see on August 29th. The only game that he played decent and won against was in the top 60 defense was Houston, correct?
Through 3 picks.
Okay, Auburn's defense, Baylor's defense was ranked 80th in the nation with all key components. Auburn did not come out of the top 30. Yards allowed, rushing yards allowed, points per game, they were 21st in the country. So Auburn's defense is going to be better than any defense Baylor has seen, okay? The BYU argument absolutely slayed me when he brought up the point that BYU had one of the best defenses in the Big 12. That's like saying I'm the winner of the 400-pound man relay race. So it's comparative. You're talking about a defense in the Big 12, and you're being the best one of the best defenses in the Big 12 isn't something to flex about. What do you need to shut down a quarterback if you're on defense? What are the 2 biggest components that you feel like a defense needs to slow a quarterback down, Zach?
Edge.
Pass rush. Exactly. Pass rush, where Auburn's got a top 10 potential. McShay's draft had him going to the Bears at 9th, Keldrick Falk, and then one of the best secondaries in the country. Okay. So, yeah, you might be able to run the ball, but then again, Auburn was top 30 against SEC offenses. It's so funny about how you can cherry pick. Some people got on my timeline and said Baylor's 1-2-1 against Auburn the last 4 times. Look at the stats. Go look at what Baylor's done since 2011 compared to Auburn. Well, that's sneakily cherry picking because that leaves the year out that Auburn won the national title.
Yeah, go back one more year.
Let's just be fair about it. Most people do any kind of data comparisons with 20 years. 20 years, a good window. Zach, this is hilarious. Grok, is that what it's called? The chat GPT thing? I asked it. It said it just compared the 2 over the last 20 years, and Auburn was decidedly different. And when chat GPT or AI drops the hammer on your head and throws shade, the last
You're using AI. I'm so proud of you.
Well, I did. And the last line of my question that I asked using AI was, and despite all of Auburn's superior statistics, they were also playing in a much better conference in the SEC than the Big 12. That is AI saying that, okay? The cherry picking of that in the programs, when I heard you specifically say, and I've heard this with other people, what are you so confident? Why do you feel like it's different? Well, Dave Aranda said so. Really? Oh. So your head coach is going to say we sucked last year and we didn't get any better? That's what you expect him to say?
Mm-hmm.
My last point, I want you to respond to this one. It's very important, and I saved it for last.
Well, let's save it. Let's jump into it in just a moment.
To me,
okay?
this is the most hypocritical one of all. But let's roll. Yeah, let's save it.
That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Wayfair. Darrell, I've bought stuff off of Wayfair. You've bought stuff up. You bought a sink.
I bought a kitchen sink.
Wayfair.
Yeah.
Yeah. As summer winds down, there's something nice about getting back in that routine and being back home and giving it that old refresh. Well, there's no better way to refresh your home than with Wayfair. And you can give the home the refresh that it needs. It's the perfect time for me to get my home ready. I mean, we've bought a few things for the living room and the back porch specifically for football viewing. And I'm sure we're not alone. If you're watching a daily Auburn show, you're probably in the same boat. So, and I also just love how easy it is to buy off of Wayfair. Once again, we both buy stuff off of Wayfair. Me, maybe a little too much, if that's even a thing. So get organized, refreshed, and back in the routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's wayfair.com, WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. The most hypocritical argument from the Baylor side of this matchup is what, Darrell Dapprich?
When you brought up Malcolm Simmons and your Locked On Baylor co-host said, that's abhorrent, that's bad, let's talk about it. Hugh Freeze handled that poorly. I really have to consider or had to take a step back and think, Auburn's getting disciplinary advice from a school that employed Art Briles and Dave Bliss. And if people don't know who Dave Bliss is, because it was a while ago, he was the basketball coach at Baylor who covered up a player murdering his teammates. One shot the other one, and he covered it up. Dave Bliss did. We know the Art Briles story. So regardless if you feel like Art Briles got railroaded or there was more to that story, my point is it was a national disgrace, an embarrassment for Baylor University. Do not come on a show and give advice and judge and try to, point out what another school is, how they're handling disciplinarians when you've got weeds to clean up in your own backyard. That's very hypocritical, and honestly, it's a joke. You have stay in your lane. You have no right to comment with what your program went through from the basketball side. And I don't care that it was in the past. History matters. You should learn something from history, and that means I'm going to keep my mouth shut and not comment on other people's disciplinary problems when we had our own problems.
Yeah.
Period.
All right, so let's touch a little bit on what's your favorite thing to bash Baylor on. Let us know in the comments down below. All right, so Auburn had an open viewing window and also some media availability yesterday. And the biggest takeaway outside of a video of Hugh Freeze throwing his visor to Jackson Arnold, or about Jackson Arnold, we'll talk about that in a second. There's a lot of injuries, specifically at wide receiver. And that's not great, because that was kind of a whole argument of like, okay, even Jackson Arnold doesn't have to be perfect. Like, he's got some wiggle room because of these guys. And the reason he wasn't good last year is because all of his receivers were hurt. So Eric Singleton did not practice yesterday. Sounds like he hit his knee on another player's knee. So take that for what it's worth. Perry Thompson had a brace on his knee. Cam Coleman was in a non-contact practice jersey, which I don't hate. I almost feel like he should always wear that in practice. And then Malcolm Simmons and Bryce Cain also banged up. Wow.
Unbelievable. I mean, I can see the neon. Yeah, I can see the neon knee thing because, I mean, that happens. You go up for a catch.
That's just a time thing, right? It's just going to take time for that to, not hurt. Right.
I think what I've heard is that, a couple of these obviously are going to keep people out of scrimmages, but shouldn't go into any further than next week. And you want them healthier on August 29th than you worry about playing in a scrimmage. So I think a lot's precautionary, but it is concerning that it's so many so quickly. And you're like, what are we doing? I mean, how is 6 receivers? I mean, are the Auburn's cornerbacks that physical?
Yeah, is that the narrative we want to run with? Jay Crawford's just beating them up too much?
If so, get ready.
Aiden Lee,
yeah,
I mean, Schrader just beating them up.
They're just so physical, and the secondary so physical. I'm not concerned yet. I am a little bit perplexed on how this could happen without being on the sidelines or being there. I don't know the genesis of it. Like, again, a lot of it could just be absolutely precautionary because you're 2 weeks away and you want everybody at 100%. So, but
I think that's going to be a heavy part of this. I'm not concerned about this. But if it's the same in a week, then I think we have a deeper conversation about it. Like, is Jackson Arnold cursed? Does all of his receivers just drop? Is that just what happens? No, I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be okay there. We'll talk about like a positive thing about Jackson Arnold in a second, because you found a tweet that I thought was intriguing and some bit of content that I think is worth discussing. But a video of Jackson Arnold going through a rep and then Hugh Freeze being visibly frustrated in him because he held onto the football too long is kind of circulated. This, at least the Auburn corner of the internet. I've seen, CBS and some other national places pick it up. This is my biggest concern about Jackson, is holding on to the football too long. And like, why is that? Is he being cautious? Is it a lack of confidence? It doesn't matter what it is, but it's a common theme that he holds on to the ball too long. That was the issue with him at Oklahoma. And we've kind of heard that whispered coming out of camp. And now this almost seems to be like an exclamation point about it, coming out of it. So like, I don't know. Like, I think this is something that we have to like be somewhat prepared for at this point. Darrell.
Yeah, I don't think you can coach that out of somebody. I don't. I mean, you can play call around it, and I think you made a really, really interesting point on that before we hit record about how you play call or scheme that up so that you don't do that. But that habit is very, very difficult to get out of, and you can't coach somebody out of that technique if it's in their head. I mean, it may be reps but there's that internal clock. And if you hold on to the ball, what drill do you do? You're doing a drill to keep you from holding on to the ball too long, and you're holding on to the ball too long. So it's either got to be play calling, or you have to you have to do what Hugh Freeze did, and I'm glad to see it, and just go absolutely bananas and crazy and get the point across, get rid of the ball.
I love that he did that with the media out there too. Like, Jackson, you got to feel this. Like,
you do got to feel.
You feel outside pressure. Good, because the pressure you're about to feel in the pocket is going to be way worse if you hold on to the freaking football for too long.
There's also that adage where people leave the pocket too soon. That's a bad habit, that you're trying to get quarterbacks to not have happy feet. And Peyton Thorne struggled with that early on, where, man, after his first progression, if it was covered, he was gone. And that's hard. You get in these habits.
Bo did it.
Bo did it. Yeah. You just, it's very hard to overcome those. You cannot coach. Again, you can do reps and It's not mechanical. It's not arm slot, or you're dropping your elbow when you're throwing.
Yeah, no, he can make the throws. That's
that's not it. It's not a physical thing, even though it sounds like it's a physical thing. It's a mental thing when you're holding onto the football too long. So I just think the only way around it is to play call. I mean, you cannot, regardless of how good your offensive line is. I know you want these routes to develop, and a lot of these routes are going to go way downfield. You still have to just throw to a spot and get rid of the football earlier, and we'll see. That could be a problem. I'm waiting to see how it plays out in a game. Yeah. But if you're doing a drill like that, and he was visibly upset, Hugh Freeze,
which tells me that it's probably not the first time or second time he's done that. You don't just get upset and throw your visor down the first time somebody makes that call, even probably in that session. So I don't know. I think that's something we got to be kind of somewhat mentally prepared for, that might be something that we see.
I want to add something to that, a little caveat. Okay. Last year, Peyton Thorne did it in a game where Auburn was blowing out either Alabama, A&M, whoever they blew out, and he completed the pass downfield. And when he got to the sidelines, Freeze was all in him. And they asked the question of the press conference, Why'd you get mad? And he said he missed his first read. He held onto the ball too long and against a good team that's going to get him hurt. We need him to protect himself. And the best way to protect himself is to get rid of the ball. So even last year with a different quarterback that completed a pass to the second level, that's what it was about.
Which then makes me ask the question of like, if you continually have quarterbacks where this is an issue, is your offense catered to them? And we'll have that discussion if we need to at a later date. You found something that I thought was really interesting, and it paints Jackson in a positive light. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. You mentioned the line earlier today, Darrell. Auburn, a 2.5-point favorite over the Baylor Bears to start the season. Goodness, we're almost 2 weeks away. We are 2 weeks away.
Yep.
Wow. That's wild. FanDuel on August 26th is FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on the NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your shot on MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champs, that will be the New England Patriots. This is your moment to take a flyer on the MVP race. Drake May, crown your champion in August, the Patriots, or you could parlay your division winner dark horses. I like a few teams for the AFC North. The Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns could all win the AFC North. So visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Nothing, Darrell? Nothing? You're just taking it.
I was letting you finish the read. Yeah, we'll see.
All right. That's FanDuel. Check them out today. I can't believe it. I can't believe you didn't interrupt that.
I didn't want to interrupt your ad. I mean, people pay good money for that, and I don't want to step on FanDuel's toes with your delusion. The Browns. Whatever.
I'm sorry. All right, so you found the list from Rick Neuheisel. Yep. Quarterback guy.
Right.
He likes Jackson Arnold.
Rick Neuheisel played quarterback in the Pac-10 for 3 years. Yeah, that's right. Played quarterback in the Pac-10 for 3 years. Went on to play in the USFL and the NFL and coached 3 different Division I programs, Washington, Colorado, and UCLA. He knows quarterbacks. On the CBS Sports show yesterday, the roundtable thing, they went around and asked who their most impactful surprise player was going to be of the upcoming year, and he picked Jackson Arnold. He said Jackson Arnold will be his player he picks to have the most impact on his team. And the reason why was he said that he felt like the tools were there. He's gotten away from a situation that he needed a fresh start, and he likes the marriage between Hugh Freeze and Jackson Arnold. His point was they need each other both codependently, and he feels like that's going to work, and he's going to be the most impactful player in the upcoming 2025 NCAA football season.
I mean, if that's true, the ceiling on this team is unbelievably high. That's I think the running back situation, like I've got questions about that. I've been pretty consistent with it. Like, I think it's going to work out. And I'm just not concerned about it. I have questions, not concerned about the running back room. Linebacker, like I get what they're doing. I think I'm fine with that now. Don't love it, but I could see the path to it working out. Everything else outside of quarterback, I'm like, yeah, I like it. Tight end's thin. If Ryan G, hurts his shoulder again and Frazier gets hurt again, like that's not great. But, you can't go into a season like fearing injuries. So outside of that, like quarterback is my big question. And if Neuheisel's right and Jackson Arnold has that type of impact tied with Hugh Freeze, because they're right. I mean, we've talked about that storyline pretty quickly. Like they're going to be tied to each other, whether it's good or bad. And if it works out, oh my goodness, it's great for everybody involved.
Neuheisel is not a guy that's flamboyant or says things just to get reactions or get clicks or get response. He's not. He's just a very kind of level-headed analyst and a guy that's played quarterback. I trust his opinion. Yeah. And again, he's not doing it to create controversy or, Rick Neuheisel. He truly believes he's been. I had a chance at SEC Media Days a few years ago. It was one of the best interviews I've ever done. He spent 20 minutes with us, and his insight, he's got a lot of different interests besides football. He's very smart. He had some really good takes back then, and that turned out to be true. I remember him looking me and Doug in the face and saying, "Watch out for Joe Burrow this year."
Oh, he called that.
He's like, last year he showed flashes, but I think in this offense with Joe Brady, and I'm not saying Jackson Arnold is going to be Joe Burrow, so please don't
say it.
I'm saying that he has been pretty good with his track record.
So here's something I was thinking about. I actually couldn't sleep last night. I was thinking about this because that's who we are as people. If Jackson Arnold, let's just assume the variables are out of the way in regards to like path to play. Like he was being brought in to be the guy. So like whatever storyline you need to create for that to happen. But like if Lane Kiffin had brought him in, or insert any like respectable offensive coach, Dan Lanning, guy at USC who I'm blanking on, Steve Sarkisian,
Lincoln Riley,
Ryan Day. If any of these, coaches at these big programs or who are respected offensively brought in Jackson Arnold, the hype would be insane. The storyline would be former 5-star, was the guy in the recruiting class 2 years ago. He's in a system that's going to support him now. This is going to be electric. That would be the storyline. If he went to any of those situations, that would be the storyline around it. And that's am I off on that? Do you think I'm wrong?
No, it would be. But the reason why it's not is because of what happened the last 2 years. I think that people forget that Hugh Freeze has done a really good job.
But what happened the last 2 years? You're talking about the Auburn side of it, not the Jackson side.
Correct.
Yeah, but like that shouldn't impact Jackson, the player.
It shouldn't, but it's recency bias. And it's the fact that people forget that Hugh Freeze took Malik Willis and made him a 3rd-round draft pick in the NFL, that he took Bo Wallace and some other guys and elevated their play. They forget that. And then the other thing they think of is that I think that Hugh Freeze gets caught up unfairly in the Auburn failure to develop quarterbacks. They see Bo Nix flourish at Oregon. He played at Auburn. And no matter who the coach was, it's the big A that they're looking at. All it takes is one quarterback.
The what?
The big A.
The big A.
For Auburn, the big A. They're looking at the big.
I get it.
All it takes is one quarterback to change that narrative. One. Right. And it could be Jackson Arnold. With Jackson Arnold, if what Rick Neuheisel says is true, and Jackson Arnold flourishes this year, that narrative goes out the window. That's what I love about all this speculation. It's gonna play itself out. We're gonna know. Period.
Yeah. What if Greg Neuheisel thought highly about Jackson Arnold? What would you say about that?
Well, Rick's brother Greg probably has an opinion on quarterbacks, and since he saw his brother,
right?
He saw his brother play for the San Antonio Gunslingers, the USFL.
Yeah.
There's some people that besides Rick Neuheisel that think this is a really good fit.
Like his brother Greg.
His brother Greg. Yeah.
Greg is super high on Jackson.
I'm gonna say that some of the experts from the Baylor side that are just absolutely chomping at the bit for Jackson Arnold to come play in Waco and all the absolutely, disparaging remarks they've had about him. I would trust Rick Neuheisel's opinion a little bit more than I would theirs.
All right. There you go.
That's how I want to close. That's
there you go.
Closing.
Darrell Dapprich, I think you absolutely cooked today, my guy. How can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, DAP6410, which I suspect is going to be extremely active this afternoon. And then you can catch me Wednesdays and Fridays with you, and Sunday nights at 8:00 on the Barn with you and our good friend Kyle Rush.
That's right. Hey, please like the video, please subscribe, and if you're tuning in on audio, please subscribe and leave us a review. It helps the show out a ton. We will see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.